So over time, I've progressively gotten more people asking me about living in Greenbrier because people have been looking at Virginia Beach and thinking it's kind of too expensive. They want to go to Chesapeake, but they think it feels too far away from stuff. Well, Greenbrier is a perfect balance between price and location that I think is unmatched in the area, and I love it. And I'll tell you all about why I love it, all the houses. We'll do a deep dive into all the neighborhoods in Greenbrier. I'll walk you through all of it. The shopping nearby, the fact that it's so convenient to so many things, all the pluses about living in Greenbrier, but also I'll tell you about some balanced negatives too, the things that I think if you do choose to live in Greenbrier, you have to still deal with these things. And again, it's about figuring out, is it worth it for you after considering all that to live in Greenbrier? So first of all, I'm going to show you on the map where it is. Zooming out, you got Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and Chesapeake all together on the south side of Hampton Roads. Chesapeake's right here. Well, Greenbrier is actually split up into two sections. There's Greenbrier East and Greenbrier West. Greenbrier East is right very close to, you see the train track right here. On the eastern side of that is closer to the Greenbrier Mall. Most of Greenbrier Parkway itself is through the Greenbrier East section of town. This area is where a lot of the shopping, the centralized shopping, is located. All the big boxes all through Greenbrier. When you think Greenbrier, or where somebody tells you about Greenbrier, this is almost for sure the area that they're probably talking about. But then you've got Greenbrier West that is just past over on the western side of this whole clump here, closer to the Battlefield Boulevard area, Battlefield Boulevard. I even see on the map it says Greenbrier West is over near Great Bridge Boulevard over here, even going down towards the Elizabeth River. Personally, I don't really call that as much Greenbrier. I guess you can call it that technically, but to me, it's getting closer to Great Bridge Boulevard and north towards Battlefield Boulevard. This whole strip here, closer to Oak Grove Road, all these areas here that do have shopping, does have the park access. But I think just like with Greenbrier East, it does have shopping, it has all that stuff, but I think Greenbrier West just has less of it. But all those two areas combined make the greater Greenbrier area. So the first reason that Greenbrier is awesome is that shopping is very convenient in Greenbrier. So I talked to you about Greenbrier East. You've got all through here big boxes. Greenbrier Mall, which I would not call a very popular mall right now, but I will talk about more about Greenbrier Mall here shortly. But all the straight through Greenbrier Parkway. I spent so much time in this Best Buy, so much time in high school in this Best Buy. You got the Target. I did the same thing there. All these big boxes, Michael's, TJ Maxx, Value City, Barnes & Noble, Harris Teeter's right next to that. There are restaurants, Black Pelican Seafood. You got a Smoky Bones, Olive Garden, Red Robin. A lot of the big boxes thrive in a place like Greenbrier. Even Chick-fil-A is in this area too. So strip malls, strip malls, strip malls. There's actually a hole-in-the-wall Mexican place. It's north of Eden Way. This is Eden Way right here, Crossways Boulevard. It's called Los Burritos. That's a good Mexican place that I like a lot if I'm in the Chesapeake area. But zooming out, you'll see a lot of shopping all through here. That makes being close to here very, very helpful and convenient. Now, there are houses near there too. We'll talk about those here shortly. But if you go over to Greenbrier West, there is some shopping here also. So not necessarily much on Great Bridge Boulevard, some strip malls, small ones, Food Lion, a little bit here and there. But Battlefield Boulevard has a lot. You've got Sam's Club, Walmart, restaurants in through here. But you've got shopping in Greenbrier East and Greenbrier West. But most of it's going to be in Greenbrier East, but loaded with strip malls, loaded with big boxes. You get some local places sprinkled through as well, and you'll see some elements of what makes Chesapeake feel more country as you go further down. For example, into the south part of Battlefield Boulevard, the further south you go, the more country it's going to feel like. As you go down towards Butt Station, all through here near Kempsville Road, it will feel even more so. The drawback to me in that concept is that there are a lot of big boxes, so it doesn't feel as kind of down home, kind of country feel. This is suburban type of shopping and a lot of big box national chains in the area, which I'm not as much of a personal fan of, but the fact that I'm close to all that action kind of balances it out for me. The next is Summit Point is on the come up. So what am I talking about? Well, Chesapeake does not have a downtown. Virginia Beach has a small one, town center, and then Norfolk has downtown Norfolk, which is the kind of the primary downtown. But Summit Point is an area right off of Volvo Parkway right here that has been built in the last 3 to 4 years primarily, even 4 to 5 years. It's right next to the Dollar Tree Distribution Center, and you've got good restaurants in there, Luce Secundo, a Wasserhund Brewing Company, a brewery in there, Sweet Spot ice cream place, Cork and Bull is another restaurant that's on the corner right on the Summit Point in Bel Air Avenue. There is a golf simulator in here that I think is pretty good. Union Taco and Neat Bird, Chicken and Whiskey, a lot of variety of different types of restaurants in here, as well as First Watch, which is a good brunch place. So all through here, a lot of good restaurants. And it also feels a bit more like a downtown, but very, very small. A bunch of, you got apartments, some quote unquote high rise, not really, 6 stories, 5, 6 stories, but it feels that has that dynamic of you can walk from place to place, restaurant, get a cup of coffee. There's Pale Horse Coffee is in here. There's more strip malls across the street, more restaurants, Aldi, all through here. And the fact that you can go from there and get easy access to both sides of Greenbrier, both east and west, is also helpful too. And I just think being around Summit Point, just the fact that this is here is a plus to the Greenbrier area. And it's something that really it was missing for so long. And I think Greenbrier Mall was serving the purpose of that centralized shopping and kind of the up and coming shopping area in Greenbrier. But as time went on, Greenbrier was built decades ago. In the 90s and early 2000s was like the heyday for Greenbrier Mall. When over time, as the popularity of malls kind of waned, the Greenbrier Mall became almost nothing. And then up comes Summit Point now, which I think has been very, very helpful to have in Greenbrier. And I think it's just the start of what I think is going to be a big kind of redevelopment and revamping of a lot of Greenbrier, which I think is going to make Greenbrier feel even better than even it is now. Drawback to Summit Point is that it's not very big. It really is a few streets and that's it. So any other downtown that I think you would even know exists is probably going to be bigger than Summit Point, but it's still cool for what it is. And speaking of Greenbrier Mall, that's being revitalized. In the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to have a lot more ground being made on what's going to happen in Greenbrier Mall. Greenbrier Mall was amazing in the 90s. I used to go there every Christmas. Well, I used to go there all the time, but Christmas time in the Greenbrier Mall was the best. We'd go there all the time in the Christmas holiday season. It just had that Christmas flair, that super technology time period. The 90s was great, but I loved Greenbrier Mall back then in the 2000s. But then again, it just kind of became a shell of itself. It's not nearly at all what it used to be, and it feels kind of not much of anything anymore. That's going to change soon. I think the city is going to start focusing on how to redevelop and make Greenbrier Mall into something much, much better now than it once was. So I think because of where Greenbrier Mall is located, which is right off of Eden Way and Greenbrier Parkway, it's a pretty central spot and focal spot of Greenbrier. So I think it's very important for the city to make this part of town vibrant, and I think they're going to do that more here pretty soon. So that's going to be a better benefit to the Greenbrier Mall area. The drawback is that it might take some time, a few years for the city to get all this done. So just be patient with that. But I do think that with that being said, there will be some potential appreciation increase proportion to the other areas because of all the new stuff and the redevelopment happening in the Greenbrier Mall area too. So I think that's going to be beneficial to the neighborhoods nearby. We'll talk about those neighborhoods here coming up. The next is you have easy access to Virginia Beach and surrounding cities. So one of the problems that people find with living in Chesapeake is that, number one, it feels very kind of just far away. You feel kind of alone, but also it can take you a long time to get to other parts of town. Well, Greenbrier, I think, is a nice balance between being in Chesapeake, but also being in a place that can get you to other parts of town very easily. So if you look in the map again, Greenbrier Parkway is on the Greenbrier east side. That connects you to 64 east and west. That takes you up to Norfolk, all the way up to the north part of Norfolk, into 264 eventually, or down south towards Route 17, towards 64 east, going towards Suffolk. It gets you into the entire horseshoe of 64 and Chesapeake pretty easily. And also, the next exit over towards Battlefield Boulevard, the Greenbrier West section, also gets you off into the same interstate also. So the fact that you've got two primary major interstate interchanges in Greenbrier will get you to other parts of town very easily. And you can also take other major roads, like, for example, Greenbrier Parkway, Kempsville Road, Battlefield Boulevard. It can take you all through the other parts of town, Centerville Turnpike. A lot of big roads nearby that can take you through town as well. That being said, it's only a few minutes to get from Greenbrier East. I'll even show you how easy it is, because you see where the line of Virginia Beach and Greenbrier and Chesapeake are. There's Greenbrier East right here. This is Volvo Parkway, one of the primary roads. This is the line. So you literally are like, there's Greenbrier Mall. Like, the line is right there. It takes you just 2, 3, 4 minutes to cross that line. and you're into Virginia Beach. If you wanted to get to other parts of town, you can take 64 east and west, right, very close to Greenbrier, and get there pretty easily. And even if you're in the southern part of Greenbrier, you can take the 168 bypass all the way down to the border, or all the way up to 64, or wherever you want to go. That bypass is very helpful. And in certain parts of Greenbrier, you can use that instead of going to the interstate and make it there even faster. For where it is in relation to the rest of Hampton Roads, I think it's a pretty convenient central location. I think that it often gets overlooked because it has the name Chesapeake attached to it. The next is you can get a lot more contemporary style houses in Greenbrier, as opposed to where you might find in Norfolk or in a lot of parts of Virginia Beach. So I'm going to go into all the neighborhoods in Greenbrier to show you that, but also to give you a context of what types of areas and neighborhoods are in Greenbrier. So let me give you a tour on the map. You'll notice Greenbrier East and West have different styles of houses to a certain degree. Greenbrier East has a lot of houses built in the 80s and 90s and into the 2000s. That's where a lot of the growth of Greenbrier happened. And you've got neighborhoods behind Greenbrier Mall that are sneaky, like Logan's Mill, a great neighborhood in the back corner that just gets overlooked for the low $400,000 price range. And going over towards Eden Way, Bayberry Forest, which is one of my favorites. One of my best friends used to live in Bayberry Forest, right around through here, even behind Greenbrier Mall. There's Ashley Woods, Mill Lake Quarters, which is a townhouse neighborhood, which is off of Eden Way. Ashley Woods is right across the street. You got Turtle Rock, which is next to Volvo Parkway and Greenbrier Parkway. These are all built in the 80s-ish in this whole section. Going around further, though, closer to Kempsville Road, you've got townhouses on Volvo Parkway that are some of the coolest, best townhouses that have lake access or views in the whole area. I love these for the 300s price range. You see the townhouses, they overlook the lake right here. It's really, really nice. And so Plantation Woods is around the corner from there. So those are going to be in the sixes, $575, $625-ish price range, unless you're on the water. Again, same thing. They'll be higher in price there. But you see more of a contemporary style house. 80s and 90s are very, very common in this range. I think those are very underrated. Anything down through Kempsville Road on the south side, there is Plantation Woods. You've got Huntington Woods, Kemp Woods, which is one of the best to me, that are brick 6s and 7s into close to the 8 range, right off of Kempsville Road over on this side. Drop a pin in Kemp Woods. You'll see here you got, again, nice brick houses. It's real stately looking, 2,500, 3,000 square feet, 3,500 square feet. Some of these are on lakes. Real nice neighborhood for what you're paying. And zooming out, going to go over across the street towards Huntington Lakes. Again, talking 5s mostly in this price range, 5s and 475. 550 in that general range. You got the lake over there. It's an HOA. As you go around the lake, the houses on the lake are going to be a bit higher than what you'll find off the lake, but that's kind of classic for what you'll find any houses on lakes, because the chances of finding a house on a lake in general in this area is not super high. You also have close to the Greenbrier Country Club, you have Emerald Greens, which is a really exquisite neighborhood right off of Greenbrier or Volvo Parkway. More custom-ish style houses, but bigger. You'll see mostly in these 7s, 8s, 9s, $1 million plus in the back towards the cul-de-sacs, but you'll be on the golf course. It's a really nice neighborhood. Not very big, but it has more of a custom neighborhood type of feel to it. I like the Emerald Greens area a lot. But then there's Emerald Forest, which is right next to that, which is a very small neighborhood over off of Kempsville Road here. Again, houses on the lake, you're talking $950 to $1 million. Off the lake, you're talking 8s in that price range, 850. So depends on what you're looking for, but these are kind of the newer style. All through here, you have a variety of styles. You're close to Emerald Greens and Woods, paying $8, $9 to $1 million. But then down the street, you'll find houses that are $425, $450. You got Wedgewood Estates, which is right off of Fairway Drive, next to one of the nicest country clubs in the area, Greenbrier Country Club. So Fairway Drive is here. These are in the 6s price range. 2,500 square feet, 3,000 square foot. You see, you get the combination of ranch style. You got the 2-story brick. There's a really nice neighborhood there, but you're next to some condos and townhouses, like over right around Greenbrier Country Club. And then also the Wedgewood Estates area connects to Norcova Estates, which is over towards Fairway Drive, down in the south part over towards Cranston, Tennis Drive, Wingate. These are more in like the 4s and 5s. Nice sized lots and more of they call it the Great Bridge Special. You'll find a lot of houses in Chesapeake that have this more of a ranch style house, and this style of ranch, you'll see this a lot. This is very Great Bridgey or Chesapeake-y. And so this area in North Cova Estates has a lot of houses like that. So it's a combination of all those together. But, fours and fives, I think it's a great value for what you're paying to be, again, this accessible. Look at where this area is, off Greenbrier Parkway, off Kempsville Road, two of the most commuted and busiest, but also convenient roads in this section of Chesapeake and Virginia Beach, for that matter, because you can drive up to Virginia Beach very easily. It's great to be this close to both of those streets in there in North Cova Estates. And in the midst of all the houses, I want to mention one of the biggest parks in the area called Chesapeake City Park that is almost right between both Greenbrier East and Greenbrier West, right here. So you've got Greenbrier East on this side, closer to where the Greenbrier, all the shops are on the top near Greenbrier Mall. Then on the west, there's Battlefield Boulevard and all the houses we'll talk about over here. But right in the middle is Chesapeake City Park. It is one of the biggest parks in the area, and it's got there's space for basketball, big sports, huge fields. It's a well-known festival called the Chesapeake Jubilee that happens at the Chesapeake City Park, but it is ginormous, and I mean, it's a nice feature to have, again, in the midst of an area that has a lot of shopping, a lot of suburban, residential neighborhoods. This big, massive park right in the middle of Greenbrier. Then next to that, across the street, is also a YMCA and another park over there as well. So a lot of outdoor activity opportunity in this part of the Greenbrier area, kind of right in the south part in between Greenbrier East and West. One more thing I want to mention that is nearest Chesapeake City Park that is in the midst of a lot of these neighborhoods I'm talking about, at least in this section, is the Chesapeake Landfill, or you want to call it the dump, which is right above Chesapeake City Park. Now, I mention this because if you're moving from a different part of the country, you might not see this because, you're not going to see pictures of the dump. But especially as you're driving around near Greenbrier Parkway, you will turn and you'll see it off the main road. And personally, you get so used to it, it's there, right? I have not personally experienced any strong smells from there, from the parkway, or even beyond there, past on the other side of Greenbrier Parkway. But I still knowing that it's there, I think would be at least worth knowing. Especially if you're moving here from a different area, because if you haven't seen it before and you're not sure what it is, it can be kind of alarming, because if you start looking up, okay, what is that? And you see it's a dump, you start questioning, is this a good idea or not? And personally, I'm so used to seeing it there. It's just part of the landscape to me. But again, I don't remember even smelling anything around there personally. But again, do your own research there if you want to. But personally, I don't think it would not keep me from moving to an area close by there. But at least it's something to know. So going further south, you've got more places like Warrington Hall, like a 6 and 650 neighborhood. I love that a lot. You've got some businesses. I dropped the pin in the wrong spot. See here, all brick. A little bit smaller lot sizes, which I guess would be a drawback there, and which is what keeps the prices a little bit on the lower side. These are the townhouse styles, but I'll drop a pin over here so you can see that. So you see they look great, right? And it's an HOA too, but it also has a community pool, which I think is nice to be. Most of the neighborhoods in Chesapeake, and even Virginia Beach for that matter, there aren't too many neighborhoods that have a community pool in the price range. So I'm a big fan of Warrington Hall for that reason. But keep going over further towards Butt Station and Greenbrier Parkway again. This whole section has a lot of 80s and 90s style houses, townhouses, condos. Going over towards Battlefield Boulevard, you'll have more that 80s and 90s-ish range too, towards Oak Grove. You got the Nels Ridge, which is a neighborhood, single-family neighborhood just above Oak Grove Road, which in the 5s. You'll find a lot of houses in the 5s and the 6s at this point, and even into the 450, 475 price range for those smaller styles, and especially over near those single-family ranch, 1,400 square foot over closer to Greenbrier Mall. You're talking closer to 400, 380, 425 type of thing. So you got condos through here as well. So lots of single family and condo neighborhoods all sprinkled through all sorts of parts of Battlefield Boulevard and Greenbrier East and West. I mentioned one more neighborhood, Oak Brook, which is over right next to Greenbrier Christian Academy. There are a couple different sides to this neighborhood, but Oak Brook Meadows, which is back here, in Oak Brook, which is just south of there, closer to the academy. Talking more like in the 5s and 6s. Oak Brook Meadows, a little bit cheaper than what you'll find in Oak Brook, which is I'll show you what I'm talking about. They both connect to each other, but you'll see the Oak Brook neighborhood, I think, just has a bit more of a classier look to it, a little bit higher priced, 6s and up, 7s and up, as opposed to Oak Brook Meadows, which is closer to like the 5s and up. So now you can tell we're shifting from the Greenbrier East part of town over to Greenbrier West, and we're going to go back and up to the north or the top part of Greenbrier West and start from there. And there's some neighborhoods I want to talk about up there and areas up there. So for example, we're going to start around where Summit Point begins, which is over near Crossways Boulevard over here. Well, this is again pretty much where the line between east and west is, right here, or this railroad track. And so all through here, Sam's Club, Walmart, going south, there's some small single-family areas, bigger single-family areas, a big combination of several different types of neighborhoods. We'll start from the top and move down. There's some sneaky ones even in the back behind. There's a Home Depot and Lowe's over here. If you go in behind there, there's another neighborhood called Battlefield Commons, which is a condo neighborhood, which is way in the back, closer to the Oak Grove Lake Park, which is a great park that I have always run around. Great running trail all around there. You got playgrounds over there too. It's a real nice place. But then back going towards Battlefield Boulevard, you got a few neighborhoods a bit more in the 60s time period. As you go down further towards past the Sam's Club and keep going down, you'll run into places near the hospital. Just before there, you got a neighborhood over here called Greenwood Estates, which is right off of Battlefield Boulevard. But you'll see Battlefield feels a bit more country. You'll start seeing the kind of the mishmash of houses or buildings built in the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So Greenwood Estates is a neighborhood that as you turn off of Greenbrier Parkway or off of Battlefield Boulevard, you drive back here, these houses were built in the 60s. You see like kind of more of the brick ranch style. This is very common in that time period, and you'll see a lot of these also in Grape Ridge and Chesapeake as well. So there are a few like that all through Battlefield Boulevard in the 4s and 5s, mostly the 500s price range in that type of house and that type of size of lot, which you'll see some that have those bigger lots too. So I think that's a big deal. One of my favorite under discussed neighborhoods is Essex Meadows, which is on the corner of Volvo Parkway and Battlefield Boulevard. And this is right here in the upper 3s, low 4s price range. The reason I think it's so important, and you see here, you see some smaller ones that are the lower priced, some higher price ones. These are getting built in the 60s mostly. The reason why I like the Essex Meadows neighborhood is the fact that now that Summit Point has been built all through here, it's one of the few neighborhoods where you can get there almost from one street. You can take it to go straight to Summit Point. Thrasher Road, you cross over there, you can turn on Volvo out of the neighborhood right here. This is an exit out of the neighborhood. There's a neighborhood right there. You turn and there's Summit Point right there. That I think has some sneaky value for someone who wants to be close to Summit Point. And as Summit Point grows, that will become more of a factor. I think this is an interesting neighborhood for that reason. But keep going, more condos. As you go further down south in the Greenbrier West area, you'll see more condos off of near Oak Grove Road. You'll see some down towards Great Bridge Boulevard. But as you get to Great Bridge Boulevard, this is where it starts feeling different to me. As you go under the bypass here and turn on Great Bridge Boulevard, you'll see that it definitely feels more country, number one. And so you drive and you see a mixture of commercial areas, but a mixture of older houses like that haven't been changed. That's an old furniture, upholstery store. Yeah, there you go. That's been there forever. There are a lot of nice neighborhoods off of this road, off of Great Bridge Boulevard, but you'll see a mixture of just commercial, country, and neighborhood. This feels different because you have some of these houses here that have just been here since the 30s or 40s. So that being said, I would call this Greenbrier, but it just feels like a different part of Greenbrier. There are some neighborhoods that are off of Great Bridge Boulevard that I think are awesome. For example, Riverwalk is one. You could have there are condos in here, single family houses that are various sizes in here, up to like 3,000 along in the back going towards the back near the Elizabeth River. Some awesome neighborhoods back here in the 7s and 8s back way in the back here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Real nice neighborhoods. As you go, the further back you go away from the main roads, the nicer it gets and the bigger the houses are, and often a little bit bigger lots too. But you get an HOA in here. There are some parts of Riverwalk that have a condo association as well. There are some townhouses in here, but there are a lot of the condos of the attached condo neighborhoods, like for example over towards Esplanade Place, Inlet Key. I used to live in Inlet Key almost 20 years ago. I can't believe I'm saying that. I should drop a pin back here too. There's some great views of the Elizabeth River back here in the $275, $325-ish price range for condos. These are more like apartment style condos, so you just get a mixture of all those styles on that side. But then you go around Riverwalk Parkway and Riverwalk, go over towards the Preserve, which is an awesome neighborhood, which is off of Great Bridge Boulevard too. 7s and 8s mostly in here. The further back you go, same kind of thing. You'll go back towards the water, the Riverview at the Preserve, and detached houses that are going to be in the 6s and up mostly, and especially on the water. You get those docks. It's a great location that takes you over towards the water. There aren't many houses and neighborhoods in Chesapeake that have deep water access like that. Then as you go further away, you got like Fernwood Farms. Not as big a fan of Fernwood Farms. The further north you go, it just becomes kind of meh. Some flood zones that can be increased that have higher flood zones over on this side too. So it's a mixed bag personally. It just feels different than the rest of Greenbrier to me. But now there's one part of Greenbrier that I haven't talked about yet, and you may have seen me kind of skip around it, which is it's an area in the Butt Station Road part of town, which is a really kind of a bummer name for the road. But it is what it is. It is Greenbrier Parkway that just eventually turns into Butt Station right here. So anything from Greenbrier, Kempsville, all the way down past towards Centerville right here, this section right here, this area is almost like a quasi gateway to the country part of Chesapeake and the Greenbrier suburban part of Chesapeake. And it's kind of around the edge, and I want to bring it up because it's so close to the rest of Greenbrier that it is very notable. There are some neighborhoods in here that I think for the price combo to location compared with accessibility to Virginia Beach and Chesapeake, I like this area a lot. A few neighborhoods. Greystone, an area that it's more like in the 7s and 8s, and I'll drop a pin here so you can see that. A lot of like big like kind of brick, 3,000, 28, 3,500, 4,000 square foot, some big houses in here. And it's a spot here that I think you'd find more examples, some decent examples that have 3 full baths, which is a notable thing. You might find some even that have bedrooms on the first floor. So that dynamic is interesting in a place like Greystone. I like Greystone for that reason. But then you've got Vance Level over here near the corner of Butt Station and Centerville Turnpike. In the 7s-ish price range, you'll find right now. And this area, you'll find that it's newer. In El Pike Manor, which is a small one, kind of a small little, like it's way different than the rest of the houses, but I wanted to bring it up because you find some in like the 5s and 6s price range here that are, this kind of a mishmash. But I like the fact that there's a mishmash here because you can get some good value in a place like this, like Brick Ranch, 2-story, new construction. And it's nice to find a place that has that feel, but the area itself is still in a place that feels pretty nice. And then going over towards Clearfield Avenue, all the neighborhoods on this side near Butt Station, Clearfield Avenue, I'm a big fan of being close to here for value, size of house, functionality of house, and ease to get to Kempsville Road, to Virginia Beach, to Centerville Turnpike, all the roads around. And I think, and it's an area that even we considered when we were trying to decide where to move. This was a section of town that we thought was a pretty convenient, all things considered, a great location for getting around town. And the houses themselves, they had more of a functional, kind of more contemporary floor plan. And so when people are considering moving to Chesapeake or to Virginia Beach, they might look at Greenbrier and say, well, I don't want to be in Chesapeake because I don't want to be in the country part of Chesapeake. Not realizing that Greenbrier itself doesn't have that same feel to it, and it's also a lot closer to Virginia Beach, and again, technically, right next to it. So I'm a big fan of Greenbrier for that feel of kind of a pivot from Virginia Beach to Greenbrier, because you could save some money to be in Greenbrier and not to go to the Virginia Beach prices. But the drawback is, again, if you want to be in Chesapeake and you want that country feel, you don't get that as well in Greenbrier. It's just going to be more as you go further south. Which leads me to another one, which is the schools. Kind of a mixed bag. You'll find the Indian River School District rankings you'll see online are not as high as a place like Hickory, Great Bridge, Grassfield school districts, which are the southern parts of Chesapeake, those school districts. You might find some that might be ranked higher, like elementary schools, middle schools, for example, but in general, just know that when people are looking online or looking to move to a different area into Chesapeake from other parts of the country or world, they might be looking at niche.com, greatschools.org to get some more perspective on the school rankings. It might be a little bit hesitant because of the school ranking comparisons from the Indian River High School District, which is where a lot of the Greenbrier area is, or Oscar Smith, as opposed to a place like Hickory, Grassfield, Great Bridge school districts further south, or in Virginia Beach going into areas like Salem, Lansdowne, First Colonial, Cox, Kellam, all those Ocean Lakes, those school districts over into the Virginia Beach side, which is in a lot of demand because of the schools. So you'll find that the value in Greenbrier is partly because of the demand of schools. But that being said, if you don't care about that as much, you can get some great value, great prices, but also great styles of houses in Greenbrier, all things considered. One of the best spots to me, bang for buck for a lot of pretty much anything you might need. So if you're interested in relocating to Chesapeake, Greenbrier, or any other area around Chesapeake, Virginia Beach, Norfolk, all through Suffolk to Williamsburg and beyond, let me know. It's what I do. My name is Sam Sansalone. I'm a real estate agent in the Hampton Roads area. I love helping people relocate to the area. So if you have any questions, I have my contact information in the description. You can email me, you can call me, you can text me, and I'll do whatever I can to help you relocate to the area. If you want to learn more in depth about relocating to the Hampton Roads area and learning more about what it is like being a local or living in the area, you can click here. There's some videos I have here that give more in depth, more details about living in the area, all the vast parts of town. I go into detail in every corner. And so click here to watch more, and I'll see you on that video.